Okay, it's 6:04. I'm going to call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. Welcome, everybody, to the summer meeting. Thanks for being here on a beautiful summer day. I just want to use my power here to let our town manager have a few words. He has joined us and asked to speak, so I'm going to open the floor up to Town Manager Schwab.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Well, first and foremost, good evening to everyone. I do hope everyone is well, and I do apologize for coming before you in an Army T-shirt. I am on military leave down in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I think it's best that I'm literally just walking back into my hotel room that I not appear in uniform as if I'm representing the United States Army in any capacity outside of my official U.S. Army capacity. So I took off my blouse for that reason. So please don't think that the casual appearance takes away anything from the significance of this group. I wanted to just have the opportunity to say thank you. Thank you to those on the Library Building Committee for all that you have been doing to bring this state-of-the-art project to the point now where we're starting to see metal and wood beams and all the phenomenal things that are happening for our library. I get a bird's eye view every day that I come to work. I can see it from my window, and please know every time I look at that, I understand there's tremendous effort behind the scenes in the form of this committee that's making things happen. And I apologize for not saying it enough, but I will continue to make certain that every time I have an opportunity that I just say simply thank you. Thank you on behalf of the town of Bloomfield, our citizens, and our town council for your volunteer efforts that are second to none and making this happen. And I would be remiss if I didn't speak to the other component of the success that we have with our library and our library director, Elizabeth Lane, and Chris, the assistant director, and Allison as well. I know they get after what right looks like every day in service to our community, and they continue to impress me with their passion, knowledge, and ability. And I could not be happier with them as a crew leading the operational side of this project with this very distinguished group of community volunteers. So to everyone, I say heartfelt thank yous, and I'm here tonight just to be a part of the mix and to see if anything may need to be pushed onto me to help get through any obstacles that may be afoot. So I thank you for the short time to just say some brief words, and I think for the most part I'll be on mute for the remainder. But I do thank you all and want you to know that you all are valued. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Town Manager. We appreciate that. You know, your appreciation of others, and watching the building come to fruition are all the rewards that this committee gets. So thank you. Okay, so old business, we've got minutes from June 26th. We have a motion by Mr. Ike for approval. Second by Mr. Berman. Comments, corrections?
I have a
Mr. Berman.
correction under number 2 architect report.
Number 2, page 2.
Second page where it says Bob Berman asked the list we provided outlining what electronic items will be kept for reuse and what items were not going to be reused. Needs to be in there.
So and the items that will not be
Will
reused.
not be reused.
Oh, yeah, I remember you saying. I totally missed that all.
Oh, and Mr. Berman needs a capital B while we're at that sentence.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments, corrections? Okay, all in favor of approving minutes as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, All right, we have a lot of business tonight to cover, a lot of real business, bills, presentations, et cetera. So let's start with our construction manager, who's on board. We got Scott, and we have
Yes.
Tom on board, and we got John,
Yep, we have also Jason joining us online.
and Jason is here too.
Okay.
All right, I'll share my screen. You can go. Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, good evening, everybody. I'm giving you a quick update on the construction process, the schedule, how we're doing. We'll go through the agenda as we always do. One, with the project update, we have a little bit of news on our fire permit as it remains open. We contacted from the fire marshal and have not got in touch with them. Something has happened that we are unaware of, so we're going to try to keep aware of that, as we heard about yesterday at the union's meeting. So,
I'm sorry, would you clarify that, please?
sure. So yesterday we went to a buildings trades committee meeting, and we heard from one of the members that the fire marshal, there was something wrong with that permit, and we wanted to call and see what was going on, and we were unsuccessful in doing so. That's where we made it. So I just wanted to make sure that we're doing everything we can to try to get this process going. I know it's been open for a while, so that's all.
Okay,
I mean, weren't they I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
go ahead.
Weren't they reviewing this prior and it's just coming out now?
It's from my understanding, yes.
That seems very,
It's newer on us, but I just want to make sure that we're trying our best with that.
okay,
And I understand it's been open a while, and
yeah,
we were trying our best to get it done. So I apologize on that behalf.
okay.
We'll do everything we can to keep that going. Okay. Heading into the construction schedule update, some general notes is that the exterior wall mock-up is starting soon. The concrete has been poured. So at this moment, we need brick, cast stone, and flashing details. We'll start soon. Some news on the process site. Excavations continue on the process site for contract site gradings. Excavations continue for site utility as well as new utility work. It's ongoing. Events, trenching and backfilling being completed for new underground electrical and plumbing work within the new garage slab area. That has been continuously ongoing, almost done with that. Detailing moment connection weldings and plumbing of the buildings continuing as all steel has been erected. The crane has been gone for a while now, and we're almost done finishing it up. But just finishing touches, making sure it's right. Metal decking for slab on deck and roofing are continuing. All metal decking has been loaded to their respective floors as we are on the roof layer now, just finishing up on top. Under slab plumbing electric work continue on the lower level west slab. It's the garage slab that was mentioned earlier. So we're just finishing up on that. Masonry has started on the west wall with the installation of CMU. Backfill and preparation of slab on grade work continuing. That is for our slabs that we are aiming for the 15th, start next week. My last bullet there. And then roofing has a tentative start date of mid-July, aiming for the 18th for them to mobilize. So moving quick, a lot of more trades coming on site. As you can see, the building looks great. Just trying to make sure that we are continuing as always. Riley lot. The current Riley lot is being used for material laydown area for all trades. GeoQuest has provided additional sampling with test data of the 2 locations for the soils. Those locations are Clean Earth and Becker's. We have received sampling. We have received other information as well that we'll discuss. The bridge abutment on the Riley side continue to be excavated. Concrete forming, rebar placement, and concrete placement in the next 2 weeks. As we continue with that. Okay.
Let's stop for any questions regarding the schedule. Sharon, can you let me know if there are any hands up?
No hands.
No hands. Okay. All right, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, C, change order proposals. Tonight we gotta highlight a couple of our change order proposals. COP 17, we are continuing to track the NDC encroachment support. This is a $55,748. The Desco installation of 3-inch blue laminate trim is being reviewed, $80,000. That is going to be packaged up and sent over to our TSKP and their consultants to make, and we will be able to submit that in the next building committee meeting. All right, so, go ahead.
I'll jump in here. So the next 5 proposed change orders that are budgets at the moment have to do with the soil issues that are starting to culminate on the project, on both the Riley site and the Prosser site itself where the building's going up. As you know, and as we've stated in previous meetings, there's stockpiles of soil out there that had to be tested as the original analytical results from the geotech engineer were outdated, and became outdated due to all the budget issues that occurred in getting this project off the ground. In order for disposal sites to take it and analyze it and accept it. So the piles had to be retested, and the tests came back with some of the piles being not so bad, but not clean. And the balance of the piles, the bulk of it, being contaminated where it has to be disposed in a costly manner, if you will, because it's an environmental issue. So upon going through the stockpiles and performing some work on the Riley site with getting ready for bridge abutments, upon excavating for the first bridge abutment, our superintendent saw that there appeared to be an issue with the subgrade, the existing subgrade, not being suitable to hold a pier with a lot of organics in it. And he called Clarence Welty to come out and review it. He had agreed and advised we perform some further test pits on the Riley site, which brought to fruition that there's many areas of the Riley site that we haven't fully vetted out, and we're still in the middle of vetting it out, that appear to not be suitable to hold the parking lot because of the organics that are in the soil. Or possibly a foot of it may need to be stripped out and stone be put in its place in order to be suitable to accommodate a parking lot. So between these stockpiles, and I'll just run right through it. So for the impacted soil change in the Riley lot, there is a $56,000 budget, and this is going off some unit pricing that we have.
So that's essentially to remove
Yeah.
unsuitable material where the parking lot is going and put in suitable material.
Correct, and we've applied a couple allowances, CM allowances to this. It was actually closer to $100,000 to be able to bring this down. Oh yeah,
So these are net costs.
these are net
after
costs. These are
allowances.
net costs after allowances. The bridge abutment is not. That's a $46,000 budget for both sides of the bridge.
That's the same story there.
Same story.
Removing unsuitables and going down deeper.
Correct.
Are there changes to the foundation itself for that?
We're
or
not
just-
that far along yet. We're just getting into fruition of what to do with these, on what we're encountering with these unsuitable soils, and it has to be reviewed further with the design team. So just doing the investigations now with the geotechnical team. And it'll spill over to the structural team
Okay,
Alright.
so there may be concrete,
for that particular issue.
for that, on that one,
Yeah.
there may also be some concrete costs,
Possibly,
possibly.
not sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm interrupting you, but I'm trying to.
You're trying to understand.
Understand each one as
Yep.
we go along. There's a lot here.
Yep, COP 27 impacted soils, that's approximately 1,400 tons to Becker's. Becker's is the not so dirty soil that accepts somewhat dirty soil.
Yeah.
In layman's terms,
Yeah.
keep the cost down. That's $55,000 budget. COP 28 impacted soils for 2,900 tons, approximately again, to Clean Earth, which Clean Earth accepts the dirty soils. That is $176,000 budget. That was originally up at approximately $240,000. We've applied CM allowances to bring that down to a net cost for a budget. And COP 29 impacted soils from utility trenches on the library side. That's approximate budget of $31,000. So if you recall, on the library side, there were 2 areas of concern where we took out soils that we knew were going to be dirty no matter what. And that was already called for. we have utilities that run through them and that are deeper than what we have so far removed, because it was just the parking lot that we had to remove. So we have to dig into it again in order to put the utilities into it. So it's gonna generate more spoils. All right. So with these added costs and frankly, with the project manager away for this project, I do need to reconvene with him next week when he gets back to review the overall budget again. So I'm not gonna hold fast to the remaining owner's contingency of $535,000 at this meeting, based on what we had, previous meeting. Just because there's a few things we need to review with the budget with the PM before I stick to that number.
So, maybe a silly question, but
Nothing's a silly
so
question.
the removal of all these soils sitting there at, in piles at the Riley lot. It's already in their contract to remove them.
Yes.
So these are additional costs for disposal only? Or I just want to make sure we're not paying twice to.
We're not
remove
paying,
these.
we're not paying twice, and there is a credit owed, correct?
Yep.
From the site contractor, that hasn't been realized yet for their trucking. So that has to be put into this budget as well. It's not in there yet because we're going back and forth on trying to have it.
Right, I realize you're still working these
Yeah,
out.
we're in the middle of it right now. Yeah,
That was my silly question.
it's not silly, it's a smart question.
Okay, Lois, I saw your hand up.
Yes, I have a question about the unsuitable soils,
Yeah.
which are high in organics. Where do they go?
Good question.
Can I interject, please?
You can.
Those soils, Lois, will be tested themselves and will, based on those analyticals, find out where they can go or where they have to go. GeoQuest believes that the substantial amount of soil on the Riley lot is relatively clean. So if it's relatively clean, it should be a much less expensive process to get rid of. But we do have to test it and make sure. GeoQuest has already done a series of tests inside of the test pits that we dug last week. So we have information coming shortly. So we should know soon.
Yeah, we just don't know yet, Lois.
So, we don't know what they are. Are we thinking the organics refers to petroleum, or we just don't know?
We just don't know at the moment.
Okay, thank you. And I do appreciate the fact that it's been complicated to try to get this resolved and expensive. But I think it's very, very, very important for the town to not begin with a polluted site. So thank you.
Agreed.
Thanks, Lois. So, I'll get to hands in 1 second. I just want to make sure that, so items 25 and 26, these budgets,
Yes.
what did they assume at the moment about the soil that we'd be removing?
So the impacted soil, like 25, is assuming the worst case scenario.
That we would have to pay a lot of money to haul it somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, like the other things, Clean Earth and.
Yeah. Yep. And frankly, I believe the bridge abutment is as well. We try to do the worst case scenario in the budget, so that way we can work our way in the right direction. Unless the quantity goes up for some reason that we're not aware of. Hopefully that does not happen. Go ahead, Bob.
Town manager has. a hand
I'm
up.
sorry.
Mr.
Yeah,
Town.
good evening, folks. I thought I was gonna stay quiet, so, but, my apologies. I'm just trying to understand, always trying to understand. So, am I understanding that, some of these issues with soil was, not anticipated? Is that what I'm hearing? And that's driving the cost as a result?
That is
Or were-
correct. That is correct. I mean, there was a lot of due diligence done during the design phases with borings and tests and soil experts and so forth and so on, but obviously this eluded them. I'm not terribly happy about that. Nobody is, but yes, unexpected.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where my question lies, is with the boring tests that were done, none of this was captured. All of this is now catching us totally by surprise. If it's this abundant, and boring tests were done, I'm scratching my head right now. How come the boring test didn't reveal this as something we could have anticipated? Because we're not talking about a small problem here. We're talking about a considerable issue, which, you know, is impacting budget. So I'm just that guy just trying to figure things out. So any way to enlighten me would be greatly appreciated. But before I get off the line, I neglected to hail two other very strong partners of the Team Bloomfield staff, and that's Sharon Gentle Harris and Glenn Garrity. I'm very appreciative of their efforts as well. I'll turn back over to you to try and help me understand how the boring missed something that appears to be significant at this time. Thank you.
Guys, Mark, can I interject, please, Chairman?
Go ahead, Jason.
So, town manager, to understand the complete development on the, say, the soft side, there are 3 areas on the Prosser Library that were designated from the boring findings as potentially contaminated. And they are very specific based on the boring results. What happened and what no one anticipated was that the materials that were in those 3 areas, they fully migrated and have gone deeper and further across the entire lot. So that is a significant change. Now, I would say, Scott, you could speak to this better. We did realize there was some impact, and that's why we had allowances set aside for the soil removal. Scott, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the geotech who initially did the borings around the building and in the parking lot, besides the areas of concern that Jason was talking about that were marked, the other areas or the rest of the project did not come out that there was contaminants. It actually came out that it was clean. And again, I think I mentioned earlier, because the project went the way it went in pre-construction, to be able to get out to bid and then being over budget and having to go through a lot of hurdles and then some other delays that we ran into with the state, the analytics became old. And when you go to a disposal facility, they won't accept analytics that are, you know, about a year old. They're going to want it to be tested again. And to Jason's theory, which I think is correct, is that these areas of concern ran deeper than the boring may have been able to catch throughout the library part of the site. And that is what the issue that we seem to be facing after having to test the piles again in order for disposal facilities to, you know, accept if it's clean or not, to get it off the site. So those are the issues that we're facing right now.
And one last bit of history that needs to be understood. The adjacent property was at one point a mobile gas station. And we learned through our working with the MDC for the shoring of their encroachment that they had done a huge remediation only on their side. So they had dug to their landline and no further. And they did find contaminated soils at the very edge of their property, which is, again, adjacent to your property. And that's why we believe some of the materials migrated onto the site from that mobile gas station ages ago. And that is part of the problem. Just want to make sure you understand that history. It's very important to understand.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm old enough to be in Bloomfield long enough to remember when that gas station was there. So thank you.
Correct.
Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I want to ask Scott, you say remaining owners contingency right now, 535,000 plus? That's now?
At the moment, that's what I see.
Okay,
There's more review that needs to go into
I
that.
understand.
Yeah,
Okay,
I want to be clear about that
that's fine. Then, right now, that's what's anticipated.
at the moment.
Right, okay. When I add up the numbers for the impacted soil stuff, I come out to roughly $365,000.
So add another $60,000 to that because I noticed that the COP log wasn't updated with the glulam trim for COP 19. It had 25K in there instead of 80. So we had just updated that today.
So,
So you're
So
over
five-
for
so instead of 535, we're really at 4.
no, that's all encompassing that. So what I'm telling you is, would you come up with 300 and what?
365.
Yeah,
On
so add
That's just
another,
the soils.
I know that. So just,
Add 60 to that.
yes, and you're over 400,000.
60, that puts it at 425,000.
Right, there was an error on the COP
Okay.
log.
That's fine. 425,000 versus 535,000. We got $110,000 potentially in contingency left right now.
No.
No,
If
no.
we
This-
spend
This is
money,
inclusive of this.
if
Oh,
we
five-
That
spend,
brought you down to 500,000.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Okay, so-
Okay.
We're never gonna show you remaining contingency
No.
that is not all encompassing of the
That's what I
COPs
need.
or else we're not doing our.
No, that's what I needed to know.
So, yeah,
So
yeah.
after all,
I updated.
after all, this
Yeah.
additional 425,000, we've got 535 left.
Correct.
That's scary.
Well, not as scary as you just proposed.
Yeah,
Yeah, or what I came up with,
Yeah.
because that was gonna, my question after Bob was gonna be,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
That makes you feel almost a little bit better.
Well,
Still scary.
contingencies are for, but,
Yeah, but
well,
that-
let's put it this way, this is unexpected.
It happens.
It's our problem. It was always our problem.
Yeah.
We just didn't know it was coming. If we had magically done enough borings and everybody knew exactly what was underneath there, well, then we just would have known we were gonna be spending this money.
Yeah, I mean, you got some,
Basically.
but yeah, we gotta, again, we gotta keep doing the due diligence with review.
Right.
See what better, we've already done some separation, right? Where we have the Becker's disposal facility that can take soil for less, or around $30 a ton versus 80. So we're splitting that up. A month ago, we weren't there. Okay, now we are. So, we're helping to salvage the cost in that manner. We just have to finish reviewing it.
Patrick.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Chair.
then, and then Lois had her hand up.
Oh, okay. Just a quick follow-up, Scott. I just want to make sure I heard this right. So you said for number 25, the impacted soil changes in the right of the lot, that's the removal of 1 foot of soil and in replacement with stone. Is that what you?
Approximately. We haven't gotten a real direction on that yet.
Okay.
So we're taking educated information from Welty, and that
Okay.
still needs to be ran through the architect.
Sure.
Correct.
No, but that's what that COP is
It
about,
is.
though, right? I got
Yes.
that right. All right, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so my other question is the bridge abutment. I guess I'm just concerned about that because that's supposed to be holding up that entire bridge.
And it will, because whatever needs to be dug out, put suitable fill in, will be done. In order to get, we won't be allowed to put a footing in unless we put the correct amount of fill in there and subbase to support it.
Okay.
So that's why we're talking about it, because what's there now, we can't just take the bottom of footing, pour the footing and walk away.
Yeah,
Can't do that right now.
Okay, that's good to
You
me.
need your bridge to hold up, right? So,
Please, yeah. All right, my last question, sort of a follow-up to Bob, and I probably should already, this is probably already out there, or maybe Sharon, you have it. But for the amount of contingency that we've already spent, where will I find a summary page listing out each of the items that were where contingency was used?
well, you'll see that in our COP log, in our monthly report.
In the COP law, okay.
Yeah, the
In
monthly report, we have
Okay,
the
I
budget.
probably just missed
We have
it.
the budget report, we have the Sage COP report
Okay.
that shows a running log right from the program. And then we have our Excel COP log. So
Okay.
that's kind of like our check and balance with Sage. And Sage is our project management program,
Yeah.
that software that has all the costs in it.
Okay,
So that's where you'll see that.
okay, and we just got, I think Johnny just sent a,
Yeah, that was the May one.
Yeah,
that we sent out. We're,
Yeah, that was me.
okay,
when
I'll
it
go
gets
back.
We'll get that filled out tomorrow, next week. So I just,
June.
Yeah, June.
June's coming, right.
yes, sorry.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. I think it looks like we've, used, I just want to refresh myself on where have we been using all of this contingency. We've seen a lot of COPs, but a lot of them were small change,
We
I mean,
submitted June.
to a degree small. So I'm just like, where have we been spending all
We
this?
submitted June.
All right, I think we started with somewhere around 1.2
Yeah.
million.
Yeah, well, according to this sheet, it was at 1.274.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Yeah, I suggest we have a COP meeting next week.
Yeah, I
To
think
go through large
just
scale estimates.
to refresh some of that, because when if I was using this balance, with this balance, we were gonna be like $700 spent. 700,000, over 700,000 spent, but until you clarified what this meant,
Yeah,
so.
well, and I think that's why I'm being cautious about the 500,000.
Yeah.
Because there's a gap there that I'm still trying to understand. and
Yeah.
I kind of need country
Okay.
manager back before I can fully talk to it.
Yeah, he's stuck in hole.
And Jason, to make Patrick feel a little better, aren't there two bridge abutments?
Thank you for letting me talk for a second. Yes, there are two bridge abutments.
Yes.
And
Okay.
Patrick, to make sure you understand completely, and Jeff could speak to this, we are using the design team's expert at a very high level. Max Welty has come out 4 times in the Riley lot. He does have a suggested path. There's 2 different ways of doing it. We could use a flowable fill, and we only have to excavate 18 inches outside of the footprint of the original bridge abutment, or we could use regular structural fill, but then you have to go as far out as you go down. So we are proposing to Manafort to use flowable fill based on Max's direction. We will definitely use the experts that came to this project to their fullest.
That cost doesn't reflect flowable fill. It reflects the worst case scenario.
Okay. Where's the other abutment?
Well, it's on the
So
property.
The bridge is built. There's 4 sections of the bridge. The main bridge abutment will hold the 3 sections that are going to get built into one. And then the second bridge abutment will hold the 4th section of the bridge further west on the Riley lot. And that's where the staircase and the ramp system will be.
Yeah, that's the one
It is connected to the building, but you have
Yeah.
another support there before you get to that connection.
Okay.
You're not just one support and then go to the
That's
building.
what I
It's too
was-
far to span.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one
Yeah.
up. I think it's just outside the MDC.
Yeah.
Line, if I
Right.
remember
Yeah,
correctly.
I
Oh,
believe so.
okay. Well, maybe Tuesday we can. Okay. Thank you.
All right, other,
Lois and then Elizabeth with hands
I'm
up.
sorry.
Lois and then
Lois.
Elizabeth with hands up.
Thank you. There was, and probably still is, at the Department of Environmental Protection something called the Leaking Underground Storage Tank Program. And at the time that I was there, situations like the mobile station were reimbursed for the costs of doing the excavation and the remediation. I know that many years have passed. I don't know what the statutes of limitation are, but I think it would be worth someone checking the file and seeing whether or not there was any investigation done to see whether there had been migration onto the other site, and whether we would be entitled to some kind of compensation for what we have found. I also believe that you can, if their testing is good for petroleum products, you can tell where the petroleum product came from. So I think that although it would take a little time and looking a little bit at the records, it would be worth finding that out, because we're beginning to talk about quite a lot of money. And if the program is over and there's no chance for us, that's too bad. But if there were a chance, it could help.
Thank you, Lois. That's great. I recall hearing about some investigations done by the town. I thought on town property. It was either the Masons building or probably not the gas station, but I thought there was a Masonic temple that the town had purchased the property. But anyways, there's some history there. So yeah, thank you, Lois. I think that's key. Elizabeth?
I had a question. I was just wondering, the construction contingency, is that separate than this amount? And how do those differ in terms of being used?
I'm sorry, is it separate than
The owner's contingency?
there is a CM contingency and an owner's contingency. Those are the only 2 contingencies. The CM contingency is how do we put it? Maybe I'll turn it over to Scott to describe the CM contingency.
Yes, so we're a CM at risk, so we have our own contingency to cover any issues that we may have missed in our scopes of work that we wrote out to the bid packages, or really anything on our end that became an issue that, you know, we're able to utilize that contingency, which doesn't have any OH&D on it, to pay for those items. If we don't use it, or if we don't use, you know, the balance of it, if there's a balance, that gets turned over to the town at the end of the project, because at the end of the day, it's your money.
At the end of the day, it's
Yeah,
our money.
at the
But-
end of the
But we
day,
do not
yes.
have the
Not
discretion
before the end.
in the middle of the day
No, you don't,
to use it.
not yet.
Okay.
But it's your
Elizabeth, does that answer your question, Elizabeth?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other hands on CM's report so far?
They're all clear.
Okay. John, show us pictures so we feel a little bit better.
Thanks. All right. So, we'll go through the pictures, get to see the progress. This is what it was at last building committee meeting on the amount of steel. As you can see here, there's no decking on the roof, only the first floor and second floor here. And I like to try to help everybody out with the site where you're looking at in the drawings. They kind of put one and two together. So you're looking from the south, looking north, kind of like as a bird's eye view, if you will. All right, we'll move along. The metal decking is continuing to go up, and there's this opening here for stair number 1, which you can see right in the middle of the plans. Continue down here, there's metal decking connections to blue lamp beams. They snug as a rug right in there. So as you can see in the northeast portion of the building. Continue here. The metal decking is installed on the second floor as there, so we're getting there. I also just want to stress that there's a lot of these moment connections that were done throughout the process. Those are making sure that the steel gets tightened properly. To make
Yeah,
sure
we
it's
hear
right.
that term a lot, moment connections.
Yes.
So my understanding is that that's where the steel is actually welded
Correct.
together rather than simply bolted,
Correct. Steel is
So it doesn't want to move,
so it doesn't bend.
it doesn't bend
it's
over,
like a
yeah,
overlap on the steel.
or rotate.
Right. So that's just an extra precaution to make sure it's designed perfectly, as designed. Continuing here, the underground plumbing in the garage area, we made great progress with this. This is, right when we, spoke 2 weeks ago. Same here with the electrical conduits in the garage.
The garage area, right?
Correct. Yep, and this is what it is now, so completely backfilled. It's ready for slab place there. So it's completely done. These are all the piles ready to spread for preparation of the slab.
No, I know. It's all.
Yep, they're being used as well on the east part for the slab on grade, so that we're ready to roll with slab on grade.
I noticed they were by itself, cement mixer.
Yes, that's
unit
right.
Sitting there.
Right, yep, that's
So
where
getting ready.
they're getting ready. Yep, we started on the west wall. Started actually a couple days ago, trying to get those CME up around the columns.
Okay, any last questions for the CM? All right, Johnny, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Scott, thank you.
You're
Jason,
welcome.
thank you. Tom,
Awesome.
thank you. Stick around because we're gonna need you. Let's go to Glenn, DPW.
You're muted, Glenn.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. How are you doing?
Good.
Sorry, my camera's not on here. I'm trying to make dinner for my son and I'm in my dad apparel, so keep the camera off. But yeah, I'll give you a quick update for Wintonbury Library. I believe Sharon Gentiles Harris added in the agenda items. There were 2 recent awards, one for CSI, Ceiling Systems Incorporated. They're going to take care of the acoustic ceiling installation, the drop ceiling install. And we did purchase are going to purchase the EV charging stations. There are 2 dual port EV chargers that are a requirement for the renovation for DECD. Those are proprietary, and we are going to match the chargers that are being supplied at Prosser Library. It only made sense to try and mitigate the number of networks that we have to utilize for these chargers as they spread across town. So we did purchase those, and I did check into the storefront, which includes the east and west vestibule remodeling, the new Stanley double door installation, and the new facade, demoing that T111 in the children's area, doing the CMU and glass work, and the exit door going to the children's garden area. I should have a proposal in hand for that in about 3 weeks' time. I did have some slight discouraging news that the lead time seems a bit extensive for Stanley doors right now. The particular ones we're looking at are maybe around 5 to 6 months out, I was told. I'm going to try and firm that up within the next 2 weeks and get confirmation, which brings us into our next topic. We did discuss the swing space lease extension. Obviously, our lease is up September 1, and we've got to consider the renovation progress for McMahon Library. So we will touch base in 2 weeks as I have more information. That is all. But one more thing, the bid package. So the technical Ethernet cabling, low voltage, surveillance, access. I did pair up with D. Agostino, and I believe we are going to discuss a contract amendment this evening for them to add their technical narrative into the bid package and ensure that we do complete that handshake with the existing technology that's being installed at Prosser Library. And that is all I have for right now.
I just want to add that you mentioned we'll be, visiting the schedule again in a couple of weeks as you develop it. But the town manager has asked that we do meet on a regular basis outside of these meetings, just as we meet with the contractors and owners rep for Prosser. We're doing the same thing for McMahon. And we did have a meeting this week with the 3 town councilors that the mayor has appointed to this project. And did review where we're at schedule-wise and talked about what that means for the swing space extension. As we discussed at this meeting last time, until we have a little bit firmer schedule, then we'll be able to pin down exactly what we're doing with the swing space. Our owner rep, Sean, is our move manager, so he's involved with this as well. He's got a handle on what move costs and all the logistics of that. So as we pin down these dates, what are our options for staying, going, et cetera, which we hope to do very soon. It'll all be tied to the costs, and we can make some intelligent decisions about what's happening when and why and where and all that. So Glenn, thank you for staying on that. The other key thing is not just time, but money. So we'll need to figure out, when will we know where we're at with our bids and anticipated costs in comparison with our estimates to date, because obviously funds are running shorter and shorter. I don't think we're in danger, but we are yet. Yeah, Bob Berman says yet. But we got to keep a careful watch on that, obviously, as we always do. But it's really critical. So time and money, for the McMahon project. Got to pin that down. Questions for Glenn? Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Glenn, I see 3 quotes here for charging stations. And I'm not sure, we doing 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them? I don't quite understand why I have 3 different quotes.
So we have 3 different options, so to speak. Some are high-speed chargers, DC fast chargers. The others are the L2 And I think they're 60 amp chargers. So, and all in all, we're getting 4 charging ports. We're getting 2 dual ports. So we'll be able to serve 4 electric vehicles in the parking lot.
So have you decided which one of these proposals is going forward?
Yes, for the 2 L2, the one that totals $16,880. That is the proposal that will go forward for these charging stations.
Right. That is the lowest price of the 3, so that's a good answer.
All right. Additional question on that. Are these expandable in the future? We can add more to it?
We certainly do have the electrical capacity available, in our current electrical infrastructure to add on in the future as desired.
Okay. One other comment. I see we have on there software subscription and Adam Insight software commission and activation. If I remember correctly, I'm not sure we can pay for that, those items out of the budget. I think that's out of our budget, and that's gotta be recurring out of operating funds.
Yes, that'll be reoccurring out of Wintonberry's facilities operating budget on a yearly basis.
That's why I don't think this project can, the project can pay for more than just, for instance, 15,700. I think the rest of it's gonna have to be charged to Wittenberry operating. Am I not correct?
I think that makes sense. So when you do update our overall budget, Glenn, keep that in mind so we know where we are project-wise.
Okay, I'll make note of that now.
Okay, more questions for Glenn? All right, Glenn, appreciate it. And let's move to our architect. We've got Jeff and Abby's still with us, I believe, and Jeanette.
I'm with you, but it says Abby. It's really me.
It says everybody. It says Abby on everybody.
I don't know why.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First couple of quick things. I believe we're pretty much caught up with submittals and RFI. I know it's been a huge effort with John Downs' hot list and making sure that any additional thing that Jason needs as he's moving and grooving on the site, that I get him the information. So I think that process is going pretty smoothly. The lead online data, I think we had a huge effort this week so far with doing the major components with the lighting and the views. So I think we got a handle on that. We also have 2 guests here. First is Nick D'Agostino and Mark. They sent out the estimate for the Prosser technology package. So I'd like to start with them, and then following them, Jeanette's going to present her estimate for the FF&E package. And I think she has a short PowerPoint presentation as well. So let's start with Nick. If you could, Nick, just give us all a summary of your estimate, and then we'll have some questions for Nick, and then we'll move to Jeanette. You're on mute, Nick.
Actually, I'm going to take this, Nick. Would you like me to share my screen to show the estimate?
Yeah.
Sure, and it has been distributed.
Oh, it has been? Okay.
But you can bring it up on the screen. Sure.
See if I can figure out how to do that. Share screen. Okay. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
It's coming up. It's working. There we go.
Excellent. So we were asked to provide these devices as part of technology, and we came up with this total estimate of $423,441.80. This consists of what we're calling TE01 technology, the network electronics, which are your network switches that will run all your network. Those are all brand new. Those come out to 88,000 and change. The wireless access points that are required will all be brand new. And those come out to 45,600 and change. I do want to note that your ID department agreed to install and configure both the network switches and the access points. So you have a savings on the configuration from contractors that are shown in these numbers, that savings. You have a people counter, which consists of only 2 sensors in the building. That's a low number, $3,800. And that's an all-in. That will be configured as part of this project, installed and configured as part of this project. The cabling for the people counters was in the base contract, so we're all set with all the cabling. Audio video systems was pretty extensive. That's, as you see, that's a $280,699 item that will take care of all your AV needs. That was described by you folks. And that includes installation and configuration in all AV type of cabling and equipment. And finally, we have the UPSs that will go in the data room to support the network electronics in the event of a power outage. And those UPSs, it totals up to $5,000. The UPSs also have network cards, so you could access the UPSs remotely. And it also has heating sensors and water sensors. In the event that that room loses cooling, you will get notified that the room is too hot for electronics. And that kind of wraps up all the technology portion.
So when we recently received this, I asked Scott from Downs to remind us what our budget was for all these items. And he did that for me today. And we have a budget of $389,000 and change.
For processor, yes.
For processor. This is all processor we're looking at.
That's correct. This is just processor.
So doing a little math, that's roughly $34,000 over our budget. So seeing as all this money we're spending on other things tonight, probably in the future. And we don't have to make any decisions on this now, I understand, soon. But what options do we have here for one, reducing this, and two, perhaps delaying purchase of some of these items till we really know where we're at with some of these big ticket things that are coming our way?
Sure. So you absolutely need the LAN electronics and the wireless access points, and the people counters a low number. Where you're going to save, where you possibly could save or push off, are the AV systems. Right? We could, I don't want to speak for Nick, but I believe we could probably trim this down. This is based on what you asked for, but there are systems in here that could possibly come in lower than our estimate, or there are some systems in here that you'll have to choose if you want all what I'll call bells and whistles, control panels and so forth. But there is this 280 number could be reduced.
Yeah, the easiest safety valve is the AV. And one option we have is, because this will have to go out to public bid, we could design the systems as they're estimated here, and we could break out maybe some of the smaller rooms as deduct alternates. So when the numbers come in, depending on what you actually want to award, so that, the larger systems that I think are going to be more difficult for the library to install on their own, we would want to keep those in, but maybe some of the smaller huddle rooms that Chris might be able to stand up, or your IT group might be able to stand up on their own at operating budget in the future years. We could keep those as deduct alternates and just not award them. But the AV systems are the easiest way to reduce, easiest things to reduce to get within that number.
Well, I think it would make sense for you guys to, work to the budget with some options, and work with the library staff on that as well, so we know whatever you're thinking about is acceptable, to library staff. Bring us to a point where we know we have the option of being on budget, and if we have the money to spend on, fulfilling this in total, then we would be able to do that at a later date. So if I can ask you to do that.
Absolutely. I would suggest to consider, maybe we go out to bid and we possibly could get favorable numbers. And then we could do that reduction after we have real numbers. You know, keep in mind, these are only estimates. Which should be
Right.
close, but we
Right.
might get favorable numbers where then we would have exactly know where we
Yeah.
need to cut. Is that?
There are pluses and minuses to that, obviously.
Mhm.
I mean, I hate using contractors out there as our estimating service, you know, because who knows what they're going to do on a rebid or et cetera, you know. But I, you know, we don't have to solve that now. You know, I just want you guys to do the homework to figure out how we stay on budget.
No problem. Very good.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate that. Questions on Prosser? Mr. Burrow?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Mike or Nick, either one. The displays, the 85 and 65-inch displays, do they come with a warranty?
Yes, yes, and just so you know, those are professional displays, right? These are not the type of displays that they're not consumer grade displays. They're built to be on for tens of thousands of hours, 24/7. Yeah, and they come with a 3-year warranty, yes.
How long do they normally last, other than?
3 years and 1 day. No, I don't. No.
I mean, you know, rule of thumb is I mean, assuming there's no, you know, somebody kicking it or throwing a ball at it, right? Or rule of thumb is 7 years. You could probably get longer than that out of them, though, honestly.
Yeah, we have some clients that turn them off at the end of every day.
And they will last longer.
And they'll last longer, but if you keep that image on 24/7, it should last around 7 years. I'm sorry, 7 years, like Nick said. And you know, the alternate is to buy a less expensive commercial grade monitor, which is less expensive. It comes with a standard 1-year warranty. Doesn't last as long, but then when you replace it, it's not as expensive as these professional monitors. But the images do get burnt in to the commercial grade. So I mean, that might be a cost savings too. So.
You know, the reason I asked that is because I went online just to try and figure out pricing and trying to look up these, for instance, Samsung. And I didn't find these on Samsung's website. But then it probably was because of what, all I saw there was residential.
That's correct.
Yeah, you have to go on you'd have to go on the professional display for Samsung. And just so you know, that's a great point. You know, for the AV systems, we estimated on basis of design, but we will allow equivalents within the AV specification, which would also provide more favorable numbers, right? We're going to let the contractors, you know, propose displays and all equipment based off of manufacturers that we would pre-approve in our spec. So it may not be a Samsung at the end of the day. It may be an NEC professional display.
I understand. But for instance, I was just doing Samsung as an example. The 85-inch displays, Samsung had 7, for instance, BJ's, because I wanted to look at prices there too. And BJ's and Samsung's price listings were almost identical. BJ's was just slightly less, but it's roughly $1,800, or I'm sorry, just under $2,000 for an 85-inch with a 5-year warranty. 6,500 were just under $1,000 with a 5-year warranty. Just so you have an idea.
Yeah, if the committee would prefer to buy consumer grade displays, we could put that in.
It's not a case of desiring to do it. It's because of the money crunch we're probably going to be in. We may not have much choice.
Sure. Yes.
My other question is, any of the items in here have a long lead time? Or would they basically be available with 1 or 2 months?
Yeah, 1 or 2, yes, 1 or 2 months lead time, yes.
Same with the
Right.
access points. These may even be in stock now. Yeah, they're no longer do we have to wait a year for access points.
I mean, any of this stuff.
Right, no, yeah,
Yeah,
electronics and access points within 2 months.
all of the equipment, yes.
It's good, because that means we can push off having to actually do anything until we have a date for when McMahon, or when process is gonna open.
Yeah, I would,
The longer we can wait, the smarter we're gonna be about our budget
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
know what we have to spend and,
Yeah, 'cause I don't wanna cut corners if I don't have to.
well,
That was
there's always a less expensive version of
Right.
everything, but, you know, we wanna do what makes sense and trust your judgment, you know, Nick and Mark.
Yeah.
On that, so
But, you know, that's why
don't be like me, Harbor Freight tools are good enough for me, but,
yeah.
you know, it's a philosophy too.
But I wanna thank you guys for this detail. It's very helpful.
You're welcome.
Really, really helps.
More questions?
I think,
manager.
yeah.
Town manager.
Good night.
Yes, good evening, and Mark and Nick, thank you. And I'd like to know, are you familiar with the state's Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, which is under the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection? And what I'm getting at is, I don't know if this had been spec'd out or not, but it seems like we should be thinking along these lines for all public buildings in our town. Having the capacity for those buildings to be seen by a police department. Do we have that capacity and what we're specking out here that the police department can be able to see what's happening inside of the library in case of an active shooter type situation? And in terms of familiarity with the Division of Emergency Services and Homeland Security and the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, are you aware of any federal grant opportunities that may offset some of the costs to provide that type of security awareness to our police department?
Yeah, Mark and Nick, before you answer that, I know that when we've looked at our security systems in design process,
Mhm.
that the IT director and DPW have been involved so that there is a unified approach throughout the town. So I think if we're gonna, if we're gonna have that capacity, then we got to work closely with DPW and the IT directors to make it work for the town and, do these things. They may be possible already, but it's, it's a bigger picture than that for these things. And I know you guys have been working with them already, so I'll let you answer.
That's correct. The systems, Nick, I'll let you speak, but broadly, these systems absolutely can interact with your PD department, and your PD department can see what's going on through the video surveillance of these systems. But that connectivity is up to you and your IT staff and DPW to make that coherent connection. But the system is absolutely capable of it. The connection to the police department was not part of the scope of this project. Nick, if you want to add anything.
Yeah. So it's exactly what Mark said. So the IT director will be able to grant access to different people within the library and outside the library to see what's happening in the building through the video surveillance. So as the library, as our Bloomfield library, if they want to give access to the PD, they could give logins to the PD, and the PD would be able to log in to see the cameras from anywhere, really, with an internet connection. And then they could actually go in and say, maybe they only have live view, or maybe we only have views in an emergency. They could kind of tailor it to whatever that agreement is between the library and the PD. And just really quickly, you mentioned grants. I don't know if the library has looked into the NSGP grants. There's federal FEMA NSGP grants. security program grants. And then the state of Connecticut does a smaller $50,000 grant to nonprofits every year as well. So that might be something worth looking into if more equipment is needed. But the video surveillance, which we're talking about, was in base construction. It's already owned by Downs. It's already being put into the project. It's not a part of this estimate, but it's already in the building, if that helps.
Okay.
That helps, thank you. And Mark, I would like to explore those grant opportunities with you. We can talk offline about that with Elizabeth as well as appropriate. But thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Other hands?
Patrick and then Lois and Ron.
Okay, Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just really a quick follow-up to what Bob was talking about. I was just wondering, is there a substantial price difference in the size of the displays, the Samsung displays? Because I was just thinking if we had to go to a place where we had to reduce, like in a conference room, for example, just an example, do we really need an 85-inch display panel in a conference room, which would be maybe the size of this room?
That's a big room. That one conference room is a large room. But yeah, there is obviously savings. You could see, actually, if you look at my bill of material, I'm using 55 inches in some locations. I'm using 65 in some, and I'm using 85, and you can kind of get an idea. I don't think we could get to $30,000 through minimizing the display sizes. But yeah, I mean, smaller is less expensive. Absolutely.
Okay, that answers it. Thank you.
And
And Lois, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I have a question about the rate at which the technology changes. Does it make sense to buy the less expensive version and have to replace it if the technology is changing fast enough that we would then have something new and better in the replacement?
So when you say the technology, are you talking about the network?
I'm talking about the audiovisual systems.
So audiovisual systems do not update at the rate that you would typically see, like wireless access points, new part numbers frequently. No, I don't believe that would be an issue.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see a new, display technology coming out anytime in the next couple of years where, you would want to replace everything in the building to get to that new technology.
Second question is, where is the weather station budget?
In base
In
contract.
this audio-visual system, or is it someplace else?
No, it's in base contract. It's in
Okay.
base contract.
But it is there.
It's in there, yes. It was added as an addendum.
Okay, thank you.
Triple verified.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
Other hands?
None.
Okay.
Well, Chris just raised his hand.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mark and Nick for all their assistance. They've been really great to work with. We describe what we need. They kind of drill down. They know what to fill in the blanks. Because it gets really technical, but we're pretty happy with everything here. And we definitely could work with them on looking at potential cutbacks. I think depending on I'm all about what is the most necessary versus what is less necessary. And so I think going from there, we can get into something that, really fits for what the library is going to do. But I think it's exciting when you look at all what this is. And even if we get, 80% of it, I think it'll be really exciting. So.
Great. Well, thank you, Chris, for all your time and effort. Continuing. All right. Anybody else? The hands. So Jeff, is it appropriate to move to McMahon with Nick and Mark?
Yes. So, and maybe Chris can pipe in too here. I had a brief discussion with Nick before this meeting to find out where we're at with that, and they believe Chris was actually working on that estimate for McMahon. Is that not correct?
No, it is. In fact, so one of the things that I kind of mentioned over time is where end user equipment falls on all of this. You know, me and Nick discussed it. He said a lot of times we'll put together that budget because we'll end up doing the purchasing on it. So I've been working on that for both McMahon and Prosser, but with McMahon, since it's been changed, we also have the network equipment. Now, the D'Agostino's have advised on that project. Some AV, much more minor AV than at Prosser, and new network switches and access points. I've been writing off the work that they're doing. So even though we wanted McMahon to be further along than it is now, it's actually been helpful because we're going to be able to coordinate the exact kind of equipment at both locations, which is really great. So the McMahon budget still stands as what we estimated, though I've been tweaking it a little based on their numbers of 53,500. I do have a workup I can send around. I actually finished it up today because I wanted to see what Mark and Nick finalized on the Prosser side. So I think it's going to look good. And then I also have a budget for the end user equipment, which is just the computers, printers, et cetera, at Prosser.
Right. And so we do have a proposal in front of us that's been distributed from TSKP for these additional design services from D'Agostino to do these specifications for McMahon. Their work has been on an amendment basis. So we do have this dated July 3rd with total design fee of $2,750, which I believe is in line with previous work they've done for us. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
By Mr. Ike, seconded by Mr. DiLorenzo. Thank you. Questions, comments on that TSKP proposal? Being done, all in favor of accepting the 2,750 design services amendment, please signify.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
We are unanimous. Thank you. All right. Jeff, what else you have for us?
Well, first I'd like to just, also thank Mark and Nick for their expertise in helping everybody out as well. It's been great working with them. Every time I have some questions, they come back and, they got the estimate together. And the next thing we'll do after we do this next round of some VE with this package, then they're going to be expected to put together the rest of the package so that we can go out and get this thing bid. So other than that, I think maybe Jeanette might be ready to now go through the furniture and equipment.
Yes.
So Jeanette, you want to share your screen and maybe let us go through that?
Okay.
Any last questions for Mark and Nick D'Agostino before we let them go? Gentlemen, we thank you for hanging in there and thanks for your expertise. Pleasure
Thank you all.
guys.
Take care.
Hey, Jeanette.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So hopefully this will be a little bit more lighthearted than the topic of borings when we're talking about furniture. This is really a compilation of many meetings with Elizabeth and her group. And and I do want to say for some reason, I'm starting to lose my voice throughout the day. So just bear with me a little bit on that. And I'm going to try to move through this very quickly. There's quite a few slides because there's a lot of furniture that we're purchasing. So without much to do, I just want to note that the images that you're seeing are for reference only. It doesn't include the colors or fabrics at this point in time, but it will complement the overall interior palette of the building. So going forward, we're going to start with the Children's Center. That's a fun place to start. And so we come in, we have the kids hall here, which is exciting. And you'll recall we have the wall mounted pieces to hang children's artwork. We've decided that it would be best to really have some mobile storage units underneath here. And this is the location of the fish tank. They had an existing fish tank, and but we're going to look at something new today. Along this area, this side of the range, these are all the library ranges throughout the building. You'll see this. That would be on display. So as soon as you come in, it will be exciting. It will create interest. This is actually an ottoman that has an arbor tree in it. Very fun. You'll see these images. Of course, we have the circulation desk, and these are the offices. But as we move into the children's center area, we have a group seating here. This curved seating is for adults to sit with their children or to sit while their children play. This is a fun little set of ottomans that have a caterpillar theme to it. This we have a activity table. Over here is a sort of a playhouse. It's a potting shed that is really beautiful. Behind the potting shed along this wall, we have two activity panels where the children can interact and interact with the adults, ask questions. It creates curiosity. Again, we'll show you more about that. And then we have a reading nook over here. This is a small reading table with some sort of carved backs on these chairs. This is a computer table. Right here we have an OPAC, the online cataloging system. And then in the back here, well, these 5 ranges are mobile, so they have the ability to move them around. You notice this dotted line here is actually the ceiling above, so this works within that. But these can be moved around to give them more additional space. And in the back here, we have these fun tables that are sort of like puzzle tables, so you can move the chairs and kind of nest the tables together. And so to kind of look at some of these pictures that we're talking about, this was that wall where we have the display racks, the fish tank. As again, this is a compilation of images we've shown in the past. This is a quick sketch of that wall, and this is what we're looking at for some, not too tall cabinets, but certainly they need storage. And this works nicely. It will have a nice finish on it, but yet they're mobile to make easier access to the display area, yet it gives them storage. An awesome 140-gallon fish tank, which is it's completely turnkey installation. The only thing it's not included is the fish, which would have to be added over a couple of weeks' time to acclimate them. But it includes all the filtration systems and everything. So that's that. As we walk in, this is the other side. We're looking at that display area. This is a typical similar image to what you'd be getting with your library shelving with end panels. The lower pieces will have canopy tops. And so the idea is when you walk into the children's area to have this filled with all sorts of images on display for the kids. This is an example of what the signage would look like. It can take card stock that can easily be slipped and changed in and out as the library needs to do. This is that arbor tree and the ottoman, which will create a lot of interest, and I think it's a fun place to sit and maybe read a book. Those 5 mobile book stacks that we talked about in the children's area, those the end panels will be a little different there because, again, they really want to display a lot of items. And so on those 5, we will have this type of an end panel, and also on the mobile range in the teen center. So this is a quick little rendering, fun little character of what's there. This is that curved seating we were talking about, table where the children can pull up. These ottomans are all individual. They could pull up and play. This is that activity table, the fun potting shed with benches, windows they can look out. Back here are those activity panels I mentioned. This is the reading nook, which has some more display and storage underneath. Reading table, these will have this sort of sculptured backs. This is the computer table. This is your OPAC station at that area. And again, you know, as far as finishes, that's one thing we always look at is the durability of the materials and make sure it's easy to clean. So that's always in our thoughts when we're selecting these items. Here are some of these fun pieces. Again, they're individual, so they can move them. We can do some a little different colors that we can choose. And this was sort of what that curved bench seating looks like. Little play table in front of that, which is on casters, so it's movable. This is the reading table. This is what we were looking at for these great little images, and we can have different ones, butterfly, a fish, a frog, but we're going to keep it simple here because these are a little bit more expensive, so we're not doing that on all the chairs, just this one special reading table. And for the computer tables, these chairs would go with the computer tables. These are those sort of puzzle-like tables in the back that we talked about with some combination of stools and chairs. These have some give to them so that it allows the children to move and helps them to be more engaged in the activity. Here's the fun potting shed. These are actually the panels that we were looking at that we're going to put on that back wall. You can mount them on the back wall and the children can play. They really engage the kids and they help them to learn. You know, they have, you know, counting how many flowers, or they have pieces where if there's the anatomy of, say, a fish, and they have these little discs that you can pull out and mark where that anatomy is on the fish. So it's very engaging for the children, and it's a good parent-child thing to do in the library as well. And this is the reading nook. It's a good size. The kids can sit in here. Where it's placed, they can look out the window in that area, and then there's also storage. So this is the activity table that has bins underneath on each side. They're on casters so they can move out, and that's where they can store all these pieces. Storage was an important factor, so we try to incorporate as many things as we can that can help them store all the many items that they have. This is the OPAC that we're showing. This is height adjustable. So in the children's area, it can go down lower if the child would like to go on the online catalog with adult supervision, but it can also be raised for an adult height. As the parent is coming in with the child, they may want to look something up also. This is the typical furniture in the children's library office, simple desk. They all get a pedestal that are mobile, so if they want it on the left or the right, they can use it whatever they want. And these book carts, some are flat, some are sloped, filing capabilities. And then as we move into the middle school, we have a bank of computer tables here. And then these are two mobile ranges as well, so they can move these around. These are actually some gaming chairs. This is some more comfortable lounge chairs with some tables. This is actually, they're called step seating. The kids absolutely love this. And some end tables. This could be a reading table, maybe a little activity table with some stools added there. So these are the step stool seatings that they love, and we can have some fun with different materials on it. This is more a loungy thing where the kids, you know, could actually sit with their back here and their feet can go over, which kids love to do. And this is a little each two gaming chairs where they could sit with a device and play on their device if they'd like. And then these are the tables. This is a combination of what the computer tables would look like, as well as the square tables, reading tables, and this sort of seating, a combination of some chairs that have some motion and some chairs that are more, you know, stagnant, that they don't move, and some stools that do also move. So it gives them a combination of types of seating in that space. Moving into the teens area, again, there's some more gaming stations here. We have single-sided ranges, library shelving along these walls. This is the computer area for the children. This is actually a little drop-off area where they would have adult supervision. If a staff member wants to be in here overseeing, there's a little table and chair here that they can sit at, or it can also be used as a lectern if there's someone in here that's giving a little speech about maybe the weather and the weather station or whatever. These are some reading tables or activity tables. These are banquet tables and benches over in this area. And then here we have a curved seating piece with a little ottoman in the front. And then in the back is a table that's higher up with stools, because this is the location of the monitor in that space. So those items, this is that to give you an idea of what that curved piece would look like. And then the table in the back with the stools. This is the bench seating that would be used with as the banquet and the tables in that area. And then again, using the same gaming chairs. You're also going to see a family of chairs that we're using throughout the building. And the idea is, you know, we're very conscious of the cost of things, and we're doing our hardest to try to make it as cost effective as possible. So by really doing family of furniture, you're it's sort of an economy of scale. And we'd like to be able to realize greater savings in doing this. So you're going to see these throughout, but this for the teens would be at the computer table. It has height adjustment, and it does have casters on it. Whereas at the reading table, it'd be more of a sled-based chair. And then this is the little touchdown space that I was mentioning. It just raises and lowers automatically. We could have a little modesty panel in the front if the staff member who's in there overseeing that space would like to sit there and do some work on her own for the library. She can do that in that space as well. I've reorientated this to be able to fit this into it. So this is the adult area. We're going to initially look at the family. It's called the living room area here. This is our fireplace. And then these are those pillars where we have seating in between here. There's also seating underneath this staircase. It looks a little peculiar here, but we'll go through that. And then we have some other working tables. This is for the business center. So these will be really a fixed computer area. And because we have the business center counter over here, then of course the main circulation desk. These are also mobile ranges. And then we have these items down here, which are bigger, and I will talk a little bit more about this space. And then we have some lounge seating over here, and then 2 cabinets for additional display before you go into the cafeteria, the cafe area. So in the lounge, the living room, next to the fireplace, we really thought it would be nice to have higher back chairs up by the fireplace. And then on the opposite side, have these that are lower back. They're comfortable. The wood adds a nice warm feeling and homey sort of feeling. This would be the magazine table. And these are other tables that are used over in, I'll go back here to just show you where those are. So those are the in-between tables here, little side tables, and then those drum tables are here. These drum tables will actually be powered. So if people want to plug in their phones or recharge their phones or have a laptop, they'll be able to do so in those areas. And as you see, the power is here. So this is, I just want to show you a view that there is plenty of headroom underneath the staircase. And we would do the lower back chairs underneath that area. Again, very comfortable. You're going to get a lot of wonderful light coming in here. It's going to be a great space. And so for the actual reading tables in the two group next to the fireplace, we have a different sort of table here with a little bit of a different chair. And this is kind of what it looks like in a grouping. And then in the actual library center, these would be the study tables that would have some power in it as well. And then it was requested to have some privacy panels at the business center, because if people are coming in and they're trying to do some business, they would like to probably have a little privacy and to help deflect any distraction. There's also a little self-checkout workspace, work surface in the, it's actually in that other space. Let me just go back a little bit maybe to show you where that is located. That would be right over here. And because we have glass, that's why we have that with a full panel in the back. And these would be the chairs, and you can see these are similar chairs that we're going to be using throughout the building here at the business center and at the study tables. And then over by the main service desk, they really like the idea of having a library of things, and not very many people know that the library offers other things, like, you know, maybe some instruments that they can take out, or maybe there's a food processor, there's a recipe that they want, and there's some equipment here that they can use. So they would really like to be able to display these items, because really if they're tucked away and nobody knows about them, then they don't even think about it. So those two larger mobile units that we talked about will have deeper shelves. They won't have, this is showing a integrated back, but they would not have that. So they could have deeper places. These shelves are all interchangeable. So if they want to have something taller or not, but it will help them sort of incorporate this sort of idea in their library, and let their people know that there's lots of things going on in the library. These are the open bookcases that I had showed you against the wall, again for more display. And then these are the types of seating that we're looking at, again with the drum tables that you can plug in, that is along the glass wall before you enter into the cafe. Then moving along, we have the community center and we have the cafe here. So this is the cafe area. These are the seating tables. This is the kitchen. They do have a cobbler's bench that they're going to be reusing, and it's existing, and it's a wonderful antique piece that we thought would be a nice place to put that right here. And and then in the community center, they requested a lectern, and really all these chairs are being reused, so we're not having to purchase all of these. These will be, they have them as existing and will be reused, but we do have some flip top tables that are nested and stored back here right now, and that we will be purchasing, and hopefully along with the lectern. So the lectern will have to be ADA compliant. So it is a little bit of a bigger piece, but it fits nicely into that area that I showed at the front of the community center. And we, you know, again, I said, don't look at the finishes. They have different finishes we can select from. And I think they even offer some custom colored options. So we can integrate it all with that wonderful carpet, that crazy carpet we have in there that's got fun colors and is very lively. And these are the flip top tables. I know when Abby was presenting for McMahon that we had talked about these flip top tables that a different manufacturer we've used many, many times and never had any issues. But at the McMahon meeting, it was brought up that at one of the town buildings, there were some issues. We do think that perhaps it was because of the way that they were moving the tables. You're not really supposed to move a gang of like 4 or 5 tables at one time. They're just to nest this way, and then you would pull a table off, flip it, and move it around. But I know there was a concern, so we went with a different manufacturer. It's the same manufacturer that Abby was calling out in McMahon. And we've used these also many times too, so they're a fine table. They are a little bit different size, so Abby did go in to make sure that those tables nest appropriately into those storage rooms that we had. So in the cafe, very simple table, chairs, and we do need to have some recycling bins in the area. So this is something that we would be looking at. We might not need 3, we might only need 2, but that's something we can really narrow down as we go along. So moving to the second floor, as we come up, we have this nice study area. It was really felt that there should be some sort of like an ask desk, a desk where if people have questions, there's a staff member that's up there that can work with the people, but they can also do some library work at the same time if they have the time. And then there's a seating area here, some smaller 2-seat tables here, 4 here, more here. These again are mobile library shelves. So again, they can open up this area if they want to later on. Over in the adult stacks, these are all fixed. They're higher, 84-inch high range shelves, and some along the wall here. And then across by this railing area, we have going down this corridor, a mixture of lounge seating and seating at tables and chairs. And so this is kind of a mixture of the seats. This would be over by the quiet study area. Again, they would have tables that they would be able to plug into devices, and then these chairs as well. And these would be the reading tables over by the quiet study. These would be the tables along the railing with chairs. And this is that little service desk, that remote service desk I pointed out, and she'd have a mobile pedestal and a chair at that space. And then the study rooms, pretty easy. We've got all these study rooms along here. We're going to use the same type of table, just different sizes, and the same chairs in here. These chairs, by the way, are really, really great. They are very, very comfortable, and the back has a little bit of flex to it. So you're not feeling that you're sitting rigid. People love this chair, and it comes in different finishes, so we can have a little fun with that too. It could be the same chair, but we could have different finishes in different spaces to give some variety. And then as we go into the admin area, we have the director's office, and we have an L-shaped workstation, and then we have a wardrobe closet here, another closet for storage, and then box file. Should also get another filing cabinet, which is also mobile. And there's a lateral file over in this area, and then a small little conference table with some chairs. She has above storage as well, and there's a little storage nook below too. And then in the typical private offices, if we leave the director's office and we go down this corridor, we have these 4 offices here that are private, and it's very similar furniture throughout, mobile peds. Almost everybody has the same furniture, except they all wanted, the wardrobe, storage cabinet, and files. And then some opted for this combination where they have the lateral files and shelving above. And I know, like in Chris's case, he has a lot of technical things that he wants to put on shelves. So we got a little bit of a deeper shelving unit here, bookcase for him. But and they all complement one another, task chair, guest chair. They each get one guest chair within their office. And then there's an open area here for staff. This gets a different type of task chair, but these are the pieces again that can move around and gives them flexibility. There's a little niche under here, under this counter, that we can put this lateral file for them. And then outside of that area, we have this technical services, where we have these nice size workstations. Again, we felt that giving them some privacy, so they're not staring at each other all day. It gives them a little privacy here. And task chair, same mobile ped. They have quite a few shelves, bookcase, book trucks, and they need a combination of sloped as well as flat. And they work typically with one next to their workstation, and then they have all of these underneath that will store underneath this millwork. And in the tech center, the tech training, this is a tight space in here, but we were able to get 8 chairs and 4 tables, and which would be this type of a arrangement. And then for the teacher up here, so he would have this type of chair, the students would have this type of chair. The teacher would have a PEDS file here, and then there's a storage cabinet for, he has some 3D printers and some other items that this would be lockable and would store over here for printing things that they might need. In the conference room, I think this was that big conference room that Chris was talking about with the big screen. We have these tables that will all be on casters, and some will flip and fold, but there's a lot of flexibility with this. These tables can pull out, these tables could come into the center, this could come into the center, so you have like one sort of traditional type of conference, or these tables can turn around and face the monitor, so you have more like a seminar seating where you have like maybe 2 rows of tables with chairs at it. And again, here it is, the same type of chair that we're using throughout the building. Staff lounge, we were able to get 2 tables in here with 8 chairs. This is one of the waste recycling pieces that we looked at. And last but not least, we have outdoor furniture. So this is the balcony. This is the area where this is actually the cafe, and this is that transition area upstairs where they have the balcony. This isn't, the cafe's down here. But this is one little area, and we've looked at some different types of seating to put out here, as well as out on this deck. There's actually a sort of a counter built in that's about, I think it's about 14 inches deep. So these are stools that can just kind of belly up to the counter, so to speak. And then we have separate tables over here with seat height chairs. So I think that would be nice coming from the, you know, the cafe out into this area. So those pieces, this would be the deck furniture, the stool, the chair, the tables, and then for the balcony, we're looking at some rocking chairs. They're all outdoor pieces, and you know, little tables in between. And that is really it in a nutshell. Now, this is the drum roll here. So all the library shelving, and we went back because we had put some feelers out, and the first round that came back was almost the same amount as the furniture here. So we went back and we did some modifications of things, and we're happy with what we have, and we were happy to say we were able to get this down. And the library shelving is notoriously expensive, but you want something that's gives you flexibility, is durable, is going to last. And so anyway, so between the library shelving and the furniture, this is what we're estimating at this point in time. And so it is more than the budget way back when of this. So we're almost 60 grand over, 59,618. And so, as I mentioned in the beginning, we would like to have approval to move forward with this so that we can start now actually writing all the specifications for all these pieces. And but I know that we are over budget, so we've been very cognizant of trying to keep everything as best we could within range. So does anybody have some feedback?
Okay, thank you, Jeanette. Questions for Jeanette?
Lois had been having her hand up from the beginning.
Who does?
Lois.
Lois.
From the very beginning.
Thank you very much. I have 3 or 4 questions.
Okay.
The first is the storage unit going into the children's section.
Yeah.
It's 44 inches high. And I think that a lot of the children who are going in there will not be 44 inches high. And so our goal of having them see their own work displayed could be compromised. I wonder if it could be half as tall. I realize you give up space that way, but a little child will not be able to look up and see his own work on the display wall there.
Actually, I think they will when they come in. There, it's a very tall wall. I
But it
mean,
won't be very,
we could bring it down a little bit, but I mean, to cut it in half, you're really getting very, very little storage, and they really have no storage in that space.
but the point of the wall was for children to see, well, one of the points was for children to see awards they'd gotten, books they'd read, pictures they had drawn, and I just want to be sure that they actually get to see it as they come in.
Lois, I appreciate that, and we did consider that. And this is why over here also, this whole range, this side of the range is going to be for display as well. So if they have, you know, pieces of playthings they made at school and they want to bring in, they can do that. And then as you see when you come in, I mean, we can make these a little smaller. Maybe I'd have to look and see. But I think
It's
that
not the
they're
width, it's the height that I'm
right.
concerned about.
No. The 44 high, I think we could make it a little bit shorter, but not by
Excuse me, Jeanette,
much.
if I can interrupt, those things are on coasters, right? They're movable.
Casters. Yeah.
Casters, yeah, so you can position them in a way so they're perpendicular to the wall, so you have a free open space, and then, you know, stack them back to back, you know, in a different direction, so each, there's 3 or 4 different zones along that wall that are full height. I mean, there might be a way to do that.
Well, I
Well, they're
just
casters,
raised
so
the issue. See what you can do about it, because you're the experts, but it is of concern to me. And in it looked like there are 4 computer desks for the little children. Is that sufficient?
yes, we went through that with the staff, and they felt that was fine
Okay. And how many children do you think could be in that children's area at one time?
in this whole space.
Yeah.
I think right now we have something like 40 or 50, you know, I mean, there's children going to be in the play thing. They can sit in this nook. We have seating here and here and here. They're going to be on the floor playing at this activity table. Then we have these ottomans. This piece actually an adult and a child could sit at the
So
same
you
piece.
think 40 to 50 children?
I don't know about 50, but you know, I don't know, maybe 30. When we've got this ottoman over here, this
And
little seating ottoman, we get, you know, 4 more children around there.
Where does the story time happen?
Well, the discussions were that they would like to use the community rooms for large storytelling areas, Or if they want to, again, there could be, they could sit on the floor in a circle if they wanted to. This could become a little story area. These tables are movable.
Mhm.
But I think the idea too was, and Elizabeth, you can chime in on this too, is using the community center
I see.
as
Okay,
for large storytelling area.
if the librarians feel that they have enough space, I mean, that's the main estimate that has to be made. The other question is for the study rooms upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Will they have whiteboards?
No, one has a monitor in there.
I meant for if people are doing homework assignments, like a board where they could work on their work together.
We did not include that. There is a monitor in here, but no, whiteboards were not included. They'd kind of have to straddle the table unless it was a handheld whiteboard type thing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Lois.
thank you, Lois. All
Um,
good questions.
Mr. Berman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Interesting layouts and stuff and all that stuff. But I have a couple concerns. Number one, the metal chairs. Is there a warranty on those?
Metal chairs? Are you talking about the outdoor chairs?
No, I'm talking about the
They're not, they're,
plastic metal, I'm not sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
With the flex
It's
pack?
probably like 10, at least a 10-year warranty on them. These last forever. You're talking about these?
Yep.
Yeah, and I can get you a sample to sit on if you like. We have one in our office, actually. I could get you.
I'm more concerned with the ones that are flexible.
Oh, very, very, very substantial. We use them in schools all the time. In
But-
schools.
What's the warranty on it? There is a warranty on it?
Yeah, it's probably like 10 years. I'd have to double check, but
10 years would make me happy because,
what if we brought a chair in for you to look at?
well, I'm thinking with kids bouncing on them. Hey, want to bring one in? We can test it. That's fine.
Yeah, I will bring one in for you.
This is Abby, by the way, just to chime in on that. Those chairs have a 12-year warranty and they have a
There we go.
50-pound capacity, for weight capacity.
He's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Bob, you good?
I'm good.
Bob's good.
Okay, thank you.
Patrick?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I thank you, Jeanette. This is very, very interesting. I just had a question. I thought that we had a couple of rooms where we had, historical collections or artifacts or things that were related to, older collections of things. Are there any rooms that require furnishings or, a table or a chair or did I miss that?
It wasn't designed. It was designed to house the collection. And this is the historic collection in here.
Right, so you're saying there won't be anywhere to sit in there or?
I mean, we could put it, I mean, it's kind of tight, but we could put a small table and chair in there. I think the idea was, to go in and take maybe things out of here and look at them.
Yeah, I would certainly leave that up to, the library staff, Elizabeth and her team. I mean, I was just thinking that someone who is, studying that history, maybe they just want to be in that room to do it. I don't even know if you could take the materials out of that room. But I thought maybe just like a small table and chairs would be good to have in there if you're working on something.
So I can address that. So best practice would be that it would be a staff-only space in the history collection. We would never let a member of the public be in there due to the collection. But if somebody was coming in to do research, we would remove those materials and most likely know exactly what it was they were consulting and have them in the conference room or in one of those study spaces.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay. My only other question then, Jeanette, is would you be providing a breakout of each of the items by their cost? You know, like all the chairs, you know, are there 100 chairs? What's the cost? 100 tables? What's the cost?
Well,
Or
it's,
you gave us a total of 667, 727,069.
I mean, we
What's the
could,
cost for the outdoor furniture? You know, stuff like that.
um, we could break it down to category.
Well, if we're over budget, so I mean, don't we want to see item by item what the cost is? So if we have to decide or work with you and the staff on what things could be reduced, how would we go about that?
I think the best thing would be to sit down with the staff and go over each area. Like, you know, maybe
Yeah.
maybe the deck furniture is something that could be purchased at a later time. You
Yeah.
know, so I think that that might be the best thing, is to sit down
Yeah.
with them and kind of see what things they might want to give up
Yeah.
at this point, and then work from that place, knowing that we want to try to get the budget down more.
Right, because I mean, we're not approving this tonight, are we? Why would it be willing to approve?
Well, yes, we need to reach some level of improvement,
Ah.
so of approval, so that Jeanette can continue
Okay.
what she's doing. But Patrick, I agree with you, and the same little talk we had about technology applies here, that we've got to find a way to bring this in on budget. And if possible, later on, spend additional monies on the things that, you know, can be delayed. So yes, Jeanette, I think we need you to work with staff on how we, you know, bring the price down and or delay purchasing on some things that make sense until we know we have the money for it.
Right.
Because you know, we gotta hit the budget. You know, we gotta have an option to hit the budget, I believe, in order to move forward.
Town
Miss-
manager,
Town manager?
then,
Yep, and thank you. And great presentation. Very impressive with everything that's been done, with a definite thoughtfulness towards providing a warm space for learning and exploring. So, but even with that said, my mind can't help be that of a former law enforcement officer. So it may not necessarily be FFE, but I did want to throw out some thoughts for discussion perhaps at a later time, if these things have not already been considered. Are there cameras in the study rooms is one question I have, and do those doors lock? And I'm also interested in knowing what are the lockdown capabilities of the library? Are we able to separate areas or floors from one area to another in case there's some type of threat and we want to isolate that threat? Do we have camera visibility of all open spaces? Is another concern. And once again, I'm thinking in terms of, you know, God forbid we have a sexual assault, or do we have a predator, or we have a theft? Are we able to capture these types of things on cameras for law enforcement purposes? And the last thing I'll throw out is where is the storage of the deck furniture during the winter going to occur? Do we store it in place and put a tarp on it, or is there another storage identified within the library itself? are just questions I just want us to be thinking of. And no expectation of any answers to these things now, but I would appreciate that these things be considered when we're building these types of public spaces. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
questions. Yep.
Thoughts.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Bob?
And Mr. Brown.
Yeah, what has the long lead time that you need to get moving on? The shelving? I remember correctly?
Yep. So, from the date that the manufacturer receives the purchase order, it's at least 16 weeks. Well, it's more like 18 nowadays.
Which
It's
is
a 18-week lead time.
roughly a little over 4 months.
Yeah, 4.5 months.
Okay.
Jeanette, do you have a feel for how much of this is off the state bid list and how much needs to go out to bid?
Well, I was really looking to see how much we can put on the state contract, but I do think that if we go out to bid, we would maybe be able to see better savings. I think it would be more competitive. So I know it's a lot of work, and the thing with going out to bid is you don't necessarily always get what you want, because they are, it would be an or equal. And one person's idea of equal could be very different than another's. And of course, we scrutinize everything to make sure. But there's only a few items that would not be that are not available on the state contract. Very few. I would say, I think it's really those waste recycling bins and the fish tank. Otherwise, everything else, I believe we can get through the state contract.
So
But-
you could actually go out to bid and then fall back on the state bid list, state contract list, correct? If you needed to.
I'm just thinking about time-wise, I think going out to bid, we're gonna add to the time, right? Jeanette?
Right, if you have
Yep.
the time to do that, then,
Yep.
that's the preference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that mean that these estimates are based on the state contract numbers?
Pretty much. I mean, they're based on that and, our experience with what things have come in the past. But yes.
Any of the furniture have a long lead time? More
The library shelving is the most upholstered pieces, like those furniture, the lounge chairs, those typically have a longer lead time also. Oh, I don't think the outdoor furniture is not on contract. That's one other thing. But the most is the library shelving, and then the next would be your upholstered pieces. Otherwise, most of those other items really like 8 weeks.
And how long is it upholstered furniture? Is that 12 weeks, 18 weeks?
I'd say 12 to 14.
Okay.
More questions?
I have a question.
Sharon?
Almost piggybacking off what the town manager asked, I was thinking about the outdoor furniture. After watching the tornado from Beryl yesterday, but not just at the winter time, but what if we are unfortunate to have high winds? What's the backup plan to securely move them, and where do they go to?
Right, question yet to be answered.
Right.
Keep in mind. Yeah.
Right. Chris?
Yeah, Mark, when we were talking about this idea of revisiting these estimates and putting a part of it to delay, is that one way we could possibly present this then? For example, with the D'Agostino's, like, this is the part we want to move forward on that's within the budget. This is the part we would delay and see what happens.
That's feasible. Yeah, I was gonna ask Jeanette, Jeanette, you understand we want to have the ability to be on budget if we need. So what can we do for you tonight so we keep moving?
Well, I would need to sit down with Elizabeth and her staff and go over items there. And then, we could maybe look at some of the higher price items as maybe bidding it out as like an alternate, or not an alternate, but I guess an alternate that, you know, it's set out so that depending if it comes back too high, then we're not going to go with it. But if we get a better price, then we would keep it. You know, maybe itemize those couple of pieces or pieces that we need to give up to bring the pricing down. But
Yeah, there were two big pieces, right, Jeanette? There were two big pieces. It looks like it might get close to that.
no, not just
Savings.
two
No?
pieces.
Okay.
No, but you know,
If we gave you approval on some stuff tonight, where would it actually go out to bid?
well, that's the thing is that tonight after we have to specify every piece of furniture, which includes glides, all sorts of things. So there's a lot of work to be done as far as specifying and then going and selecting the actual finishes to coordinate. That's another big thing. The fabrics, there's a lot left to do really. And so I think that if we agree that everybody likes everything that we're doing, that we move forward with that, with the idea that working with the staff, we will designate certain items that would be on a list of, you know, options that if the budget allows, then we can go back and we can get this and prioritize it. You know, which item would be, you know, prioritize which items are more important. So,
Patrick, would you like to formulate that motion for us?
Yes, I would.
All right.
That was very good, Jeanette. Okay, so I would make a motion that we move forward with the FF&E for Prosser, given that Jeanette goes back and works with Elizabeth and her staff, Chris and
Allison.
Allison, yes, and tries to bring us within our budget by prioritizing items that can be purchased at a later date or as alternates.
Second.
Mr. Wright, I think so. I think so. Discussion. Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at the estimated FF&E schedule for Prosser that you gave us. And you had in here the presentation today, which you met, and then bid docs and specs, you have 2.5 months in there, in which you're gonna draw it up. And if I remember correctly, Clark questioned why it's gonna take that long. August,
Well,
August and September into October.
Well, there is a lot to be done actually, number one, but number two is, you know, if we are going out to bid, then that's a whole nother process. There's a lot of documentation that has to be put together. That's, you know, a good three more weeks anyway of work. And then when the bids come back in, we have to go through everything, multiple bids, and people will give substitutes that they will consider are equal, and we have to do our duty and look at all these items and see, and if there's things we've never heard of but it looks good, then we have to get samples in to see what they're really like. So we really do need that space depending on, you know, if we purchase everything off of state contract and we only have a handful of items that are going to go out to bid, then that makes it a little bit easier. But there's still all the documentation that needs to be put together for a bid process. So it takes time.
Well, you said 3 weeks.
For if we go out to bid, that would be an added 3 weeks at least
Added to what?
to our scope of work.
Right. But for instance, we gave approval today and for you to go out to bid, you're saying that you could go out to bid the end of August?
I think we were looking at maybe the end of August. I have to look at the schedule, but August, early September.
This says bid and procurement process, bids out October 21st.
Okay, there you go.
Well, that's why I'm questioning it. Because if we give you approval tonight, that says to me that, and you say it's 3 weeks, I'm gonna give you 5 weeks. That takes us to the end of August when you get bids out early September.
Well, there's always things that come up. So I like to make sure we have ample time. If we get everything done beforehand, we can certainly move forward with that.
Yeah, Jeanette, can
I
you?
think what Bob is saying is the original one, the state contract would have got us earlier. That Jeanette, you're saying it's an additional 3 or so weeks to package it a different way. It's going to take longer, so you're going to add on basically another month.
To
Yeah,
the right. So then we're looking more like
it does seem excessive. And Jeanette, can you revisit that schedule for us? I mean, we want to let you loose today. And we want you to meet all the deadlines, so we have furniture when the building is finished. What happens in between is obviously not as critical as long as it gets done, but I think we want to know how much spare time we have in there in case something happens. I think that's pretty important,
well,
and not put our backs against the wall
After the bids
just
come in.
because we have the time. Can you please revisit that schedule?
you're saying to go out to bid earlier.
Well, how soon can you go out to bid is what we really need to know. And not just tacking 3 weeks on the previous schedule you gave us. But I think.
Well, it would be it would be included in that overall amount. If we're not going to go out to bid, it's not going to take as long.
Okay. Well,
But
again, I think you could define that a little bit better for us.
well, we can. We work actually from the end date when the installation is going to be taking place, and then
Sure.
figure out the lead times. There's always things that come up too with making sure purchase orders get out in a timely fashion, and so it seems generous, but there's always something that comes up.
Yeah.
But what
Well,
we'll do is we'll relook at it, and we're going to continue to move forward. Absolutely.
Right.
And so the idea is the bulk of the work is getting everything specified, all the finishes selected, going back to the staff to now, figure out what it is that we're going to pull out of the main list of furnitures items, and then but it's all going to be specified. So everything will be specified. It's just,
I think we'd all feel a little comfortable if you just break that timeline down a bit so you understand what's in it and, and why it is what it is. That's all. Because
okay.
it just seems like that period between now and bidding is a very long time. And I understand there's a lot of things you got to do in there. If you could share with us what those things are, I think we'd all feel better about it.
Yeah, right now it's 3 months. Because you have in here July 11th for bid doc specs, where you start working on it and you finish it October 7th.
I don't have the schedule in front of me, but it would be finished before then, because then you have to coordinate that you get the advertising out for the bid.
Right.
And I mean, that's all kind of factored into that schedule that we had.
And then you have bids going out October 21st, which is 3 weeks later, 2.5 weeks later.
Okay, I think we can get into these details at our next meeting, or as you're proceeding.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to go back to focusing on getting going
Yeah.
with it. So we do have a motion on the table. Any more discussion on that? Did I see a hand up?
Yes, Mark.
Oh, Lois, go ahead.
Thank you. It is unclear to me whether we are directing that this be bid out or whether we're directing that it be done under the state contract to the extent that it can. And before I vote, I would like to know whether that is part of the motion.
my understanding, it is not part of the motion.
No.
And we can discuss the pros and cons of one versus the other. Personally, I would leave it up to our professionals on how, as long as they have the time to do one way or the other or a combination, and let them, use their own discretion as far as that goes. I don't know why we would want to do one or the other, or I don't know. Does anybody have thoughts on that? Lois?
My thought is that, it sounds as if it's a very elaborate process to do the bidding, and that we might, get a slightly better price, and in the process, unless we get a better timeline, we might extend the project, which would also be expensive. So those are my concerns. I would hate to pay an extra month's worth of rental, for the temporary library if it could have been saved by going to the state lists in this respect. I just don't know enough about it to choose one or the other.
Jeanette,
Could I say something about that?
yes, please.
Yep. So we definitely would not do anything that would delay the opening. Although I don't think we actually, I mean, we're basing it on the date that the contractor has set for I think it was March. And so we kind of take that and we work backwards. So we will not do anything that would jeopardize that final date. And that's one of the reasons why we give leeway in between, to make sure we're crossing the T's, dotting the I's. The one thing with going out to bid, as I mentioned, is that there's no guarantee you're going to get exactly what you want, because if someone comes in and they're lower, but it's not, I mean, there's a lot with aesthetics as well. It might be less, but it might not look all that great. It might not be as comfortable. So there's a lot of things to weigh out. I mean, it could be even better, and we would want to go with it, but there's a lot of vetting out we would have to do. But we do this all the time. We do both all bid, or we do a combination of some bid and some state contract, or we do all state contract. Typically, historically, we've gotten better pricing when we go out to bid.
So if you go out to bid on an item that is available on state contract, can you fall back on the state contract and not take any of the bids?
Well, I mean, if the bids are lower than state contract, I don't know how you would be able to get around that, price wise.
No, say the bids come in higher, or everybody is offering a substitute.
Oh, yes. I would say, sure.
Then
it's in your best, it's in your best interest.
So we could take our option to reject all the bids and just select off the state bid list.
You could, but I don't know if you would.
You're hesitating, and I don't understand why.
Well, because typically we haven't run into that scenario where the state contract has been less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's encouraging to go to bid then. All right. More questions or comments on our motion?
Elizabeth has her hand up.
I just wanted to bring up our friends in Hartford when the Park Street branch opened and they had no shelves. So I understand Jeanette wanting to at least move forward with some of the items as soon as possible.
That was also in the heart of COVID, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I went through that.
Yeah, good point.
It wasn't fun.
Good point.
Yeah, that's why I have no problem with going out library shelf because of long lead time. That's why I asked about lead time and other things. It's because it's got to come in close to the budget.
Well, the other thing is, you know, I don't think we want to do it piecemeal. I think we would do a whole bid package and include everything within that bid package. And we set it up so that we have that amount of time where everything can be bid out at one time. And it gives you ample time for the longer lead times
Right, right.
items.
So Jeanette, if we move forward tonight, then wouldn't you have a chance to come back to us as you're developing the specifications and say, here's how I think it's gonna go, here's the items that I think we're gonna go state bid list, and here's the items that we're gonna go out to bid at.
Absolutely.
You know, so we have time to review that with you
Right.
as
Yeah,
you're working through this.
absolutely. And that's why we like to give time to be able to do all those things, you know, to meet and it's, you know, what we're asking is the approval to move forward with the specifications, that you liked everything that you see and that we're going to move in that direction. But we understand that it's over budget, and we're going to come up with a list of items to prioritize that would get us, you know, back down to that budget amount. And you know, we'll have meetings in between, and then and of course we can be tweaking our numbers even more as we go through the actual process, and see where we end up.
Okay, well, I believe that is our motion.
Yeah.
All right, more comments on the motion. Town manager.
I'm sorry, folks, for adding to our time here, but seeing as the initial budget was set 2 years ago, are we also taking into consideration, you know, the increased costs of some of these products as where we're at, or was this just the budget and nothing was spec'd out before? So I was just trying to understand that aspect of it.
Yeah, we are in fact living with an older budget. There's no question about that. But that's why I think we'd be willing to entertain spending more than the budget if we have the money. So, you know, I don't want to absolutely say, I'm speaking for the committee, that we're going to stop at the budget amount if we can, you know, do more, because the furniture is very important for a lot of good reasons. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Wasn't there some escalation built into that? Maybe not as much as it's turning out. Seems to me there was something like a 3.5% escalation built in that.
Early on, it was in the construction end, but I don't know that it was in the FF&E.
Yeah, that goes away after you
Yeah.
get a GMP, at least for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I may add that they're like 8-9% increases we're seeing. It's like people are making up for lost time or something. But as you can see throughout this whole project, how everything is you can go to the grocery store and see how expensive everything is. So yeah, the prices have gone up quite a bit.
Okay. Any more questions or comments before we call a vote? All right, everybody in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? We are unanimous. All right. So Jeanette.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It looks great. One sort of related question for you. We have all that wonderful natural light coming in all these spaces. Have there been any considerations for window treatments in any spaces?
Absolutely. That was way in the construction, and I don't know all the particulars, but I know at one point we were going to have you know, automated shades that come down. Do you remember that whole discussion? And
I
then
remember we talked about it. I'm just not sure where it is.
Yeah, they're there.
Scott, is it
It's in there.
the contract, in the base contract window?
Yes.
Yes, that's a yes. Okay,
Yes.
thanks. Great.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Any
good
other
questions.
Any other questions?
Hands?
Good job.
Jeanette, thank you. Wonderful.
Good job, good
Thank
presentation.
you.
Great. Thank you all very much. It's been really a pleasure working with Elizabeth and Chris and Allison and the children's librarians. They're very excited. It's overwhelming because, you know, they have their full-time job and then they have this. So it's a lot. It's a lot for everybody. We get it.
Okay, thank you again.
Okay.
Jeff, anything else?
No, I believe that's it.
Good. Any other questions for our architects team? And let's move on to our owner rep. Got Sean.
Yes, I will.
Save the best for
Hey,
last.
Sean.
Thanks, appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Jennifer, Doug, quit sharing.
Yeah, I'll share my screen. There we go. All right, I will be brief. My report is the same as the past few because of the stage route and construction. Tri-State continues to test the welds and the steel installation, but that's coming to an end. Welty has been on site several times, helping to with the impacted unsuitable soils and how to resolve those issues. Michael Horton Associates continues to review all the report, as does the local building official. In terms of commissioning, not a great deal of activity, but they do continue to review the submittals and RFIs that pertain to the mechanical systems. The project overview, obviously Downs gives their full report, but the biggest thing is them actively working to minimize the cost of these impacted soils. And steel detailing will come to an end in the next week or so. I've added move management. I'll continue to get updated costs as the schedules develop for both McMahon and Prosser, and I'll get you that information so you have that to review. Any questions on any of those items?
Questions for Sean?
Nothing.
Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Sean. Will we have an idea of the budget pricing for the moves next meeting, or is it going to be August?
I will try and get it for next meeting. I'll have to reach out to WB Meyer and see how quickly they can update their quote. I would imagine it's a fairly easy update. I think we're just gonna have to factor in, because they bid everything off state contract as well. But there will be an increase to the state contract in October. So I think they'll have to factor that in.
Other questions for Sean?
Nothing online?
Okay, Sean,
Thank you.
thank you for hanging in there.
Thank
you. And for the information. And so Sharon, you have bills for us today.
I do.
That's how we keep the project going.
First one I have is Maxwell T. I don't know if I'm sharing. Yes, and that is $3,990.
So moved.
Mr. Reich. Seconded by Mr. Berman. And these are services that Jason was telling us about. Correct?
Yes.
John and Scott for the Riley site. And it's all the Riley site, right?
Yeah, it looks like that's incorporated into it. It looks like he hasn't built it in a while.
January.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's culmination of the year.
Questions, comments? Bob?
Are we still within budget for the testing?
Do we, that's a Sean question, budget.
For materials testing,
Yeah.
that's not part of this, but yes, we are still within budget.
So this still brings it, keeps the twin butt, or is this outside?
That's not
outside of
That's
that.
outside.
Yeah, this is outside,
So
yeah.
this is additional cost.
It is an additional cost. I honestly, I don't know our line item for soils investigation. You know, we have a soils consultant line item.
I'll evaluate it once these are approved and getting along and see
All right.
where we're at.
Is there anything about
No.
Is that, well, that RE.
That's just the title.
Is just the title, okay, yeah, okay.
There is nothing for.
Okay, that's, I just wanted to.
It's specific in the
Yeah.
body of it.
Right, okay.
Other questions, comments? Lois?
Lois?
Is this the series for Horton?
No.
No.
Okay.
This was a special investigation, to mitigate.
That's fine. It's clear. The ones that I'm concerned about are the Horton ones, which do not indicate what they did. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on the Clarence Welty? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We're good. Okay, motion passes. Next, Sharon.
This one is one of the Michael Horton bills. And
Which one?
this one is Prosser for $900.
So moved.
By Mr. Ike,
Second.
second by Mr. Berman. Lois, you have a question on this?
Yes, I have a concern that it just says special inspection and it doesn't say what they did. And I think that's the same case for all of them.
Yes, Sean, I know you've reviewed these.
Yes, so it is, they've submitted reports based on the review of all the materials testing, and it is tied to their purchase order that they have with the town. So they review all the materials testing reports and provide a report. I could attach the reports.
Could you just suggest that if you go back 2 lines from what I can see on the computer, special inspection services relating to, and a small detail would be very helpful for any future bill.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I mean, he does indicate the time period, so
Correct.
Sean can
One is
tie
the old one.
back, which he does in his review of what he did during that time period. But it'd be
Yeah.
nice to have it on the invoice, wouldn't it?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on this $900 Michael Horton invoice? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, we are unanimous on that. We've got another Michael Horton.
Yes.
$500.
Same thing, but just for different periods.
Yep.
First one was March to April 5th. This one is from May 10th to June 10th.
So moved. Moved by Mr. Berman,
Second.
by Mr. Ike. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 You, motion passes. Next,
Next up is TSKP for McMahon. And this is for the period through June 30th for $13,591.40.
So moved.
oh, Mr. Ike. Oh, this is the McMahon one,
Yes.
$13,591.40.
Some reason I don't have that. Okay. I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Berman. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Now we got the Prosser one.
Yes.
The SKP.
And this is for the same period through June 30th. The amount is $23,564.05.
So moved.
By Mr. Ike.
Second.
Second by Mr. Byrne. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No, we're good. Okay, motion passes.
And that's all the invoices I have for this meeting.
Colliers?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I was leaving the best for last since you were here. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Sean, you don't want to get paid.
Sean wouldn't have gone home tonight.
And an update, we did get the revised invoice from May, removing the mileage.
Good.
So that one has been
Good.
submitted for
Okay.
processing. And so this is now through June for the same amount, $9,836.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Ike, second by Mr. Berman. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 We are unanimous. Motion passes. Thank you. And that is that from that. Other items from the committee? We have 2 raised hands. What do we have? Lois. You're muted, Lois?
Now, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
One of the things we received was a general library budget summarizing the total costs. And there's one line there that I didn't understand. It was the owner's rep budget for McMahon at 143,225, whereas the owner's rep budget for Prosser was 109,699. That was in the packet that we received. I'm not sure what it pertained to, but I thought that was a strange differential.
That has been, we went through a whole redesignation, reallocation with Colliers on all of their billings, and they're related to their contract, and if we look at their new billings, it's no longer separated out that way, Lois. So that's old
Is this the
news.
one she's looking at?
Yeah, that's it. That is,
Yeah.
that's back over a year ago. And if you look at their invoice, it's been all of the McMahon work, I believe, was removed.
Well,
Correct.
it's a large amount for McMahon compared to Prosser.
Yeah, exactly. And, your point is well taken. That's why it was all revised to the current, what the current bills reflect.
So this was irrelevant, this piece of this documentation?
With regards to Colliers, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other, we did not vote on this yet, did we? No.
No.
Yes, we did vote on it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we're under other comments from the committee. Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm, like everybody else, I'm concerned about the budget and where we're gonna stand, seeing as how we're potentially down to $500,000 in owner's contingency at this point. And we have a long way to go in construction. So a lot of the things that would cost us a significant amount of money, we're already past most of it. $500,000 is not a lot to have left. We've had enough surprises with some stuff, and I hope we don't have any more, but there could easily be. And it says to me that we really need to keep a tight eye on where we're spending a lot of money. And we're gonna have to make some very hard choices in the future, and I want everybody to be aware of the fact that we're caught between a rock and a hard place when it comes to the money available for different things. And we're all gonna have to make some choices that we're not gonna be very comfortable with. We need to start being aware of that now and thinking about what can we do to bring this whole project, both McMahon and Prosser, in on budget. I don't see us coming in under budget. I'm worried that we're gonna end up having to cut some things that nobody really wants to cut in order to get in on budget, because there is no extra money. And I just want everybody to be aware of the fact that, yeah, the committee is aware of that, and we may have to make some choices that people are not gonna be happy with. But it's gonna come. I'm afraid it's gonna hit us.
Thank you. All right, point taken. Mr. Town Manager.
Yes, thank you. Just 2 requests, please. Mark and Sharon, I can give you my number right now. It's 860-982-5624. Mark, I'd probably need about 2 minutes of your time, and Sharon, 30 seconds of your time after we conclude tonight. But thank you so much for everyone's participation and involvement. I greatly appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Elizabeth.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say two things. One, this has been a long process and we're used to giving up things. As we all know, we gave up a renovated and expanded McMahon. So we'll continue to roll with the punches on that front. And I also wanted to say special thank you to our friends at TSKP. It was they really rolled with us and the high expectations specifically of our youth department. And I want to also acknowledge Nicole Dolet and Brooke Lyman specifically, who spent a lot of time making sure that youth department is going to have that magical feel, so that when kids and family walk in, they really feel that library magic. So thank you, TSKP, and I'm really excited for what Prosser is going to be.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Anyone else from the committee? All right, so our next meetings are in 2 weeks, the 24th. I will not be here. Patrick will be running the meeting. Thank you, Patrick, for that. And then we are into August 7th. Public comments, Sharon, do we have anybody from the public with their hand up?
No, we still have 2 people left.
Okay, well, thank you
No
for
one-
joining us.
Hanging in.
Thanks for hanging in. We knew we had a lot of ground to cover tonight. I think we did it in good fashion. A lot of good information and decisions. I appreciate everybody. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded by Mr. Ike. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, thank you, everybody. We are adjourned.
Mhm. All right.